Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this webinar all together, the first of 2025. We have the pleasure today to talk about a great topic, building labels and how to make building more sustainable, how to achieve industry accreditation. And today I'll be lucky to have with me different people. You get their name very soon, as you know that. Just a quick reminder, this webinar will be recorded, so it means that you'll be able to share it right before. You have a chat available in the tool, as you've already seen probably, so that do not hesitate to ask any question. You will have a dedicated slot for Q&A at the very end of this webinar, which will last about 45 minutes. For sure, do not hesitate to contact us after this event using this email address. So today we're gonna be talking with three different speakers: Matthew Ramsey from JLL EMEA, Anne-Marie Aguilar from IWBI, and Omer Dom from Sanofi. And your humble servitor, myself, as a kind of host. I suggest the following agenda. So Matthew will start talking about sustainability and the need for indoor air quality sensors. The WELL certification will be a dedicated chapter as well. Then Omer will talk about Sanofi and sustainability building charter. We'll have a short speak about air scenes, and at the very end, we'll have the Q&A session. So, Matthew, if you don't mind, I invite you on stage.
Hello, thank you, Remy. If you're okay to move on to the next slide. So, as Remy said, I'm Matthew Ramsey from JLL EMEA Sustainability Consulting. We're going to talk to you about the need for air quality sensors and how they help us with building certifications. To give a quick overview into our team, as I said, I'm within our EMEA Sustainability Consulting team. My role is Design and Construction Certification Lead, so I work across our live BREEAM, WELL and LEED assessments. At JLL, our sort of corporate real estate client team believe in the value of certification, so we implement BREEAM and WELL on all of our own JLL fit-out projects. And within our team, we have BREEAM APs, LEED APs, WELL APs, and we work closely with other teams to support in those additional services that may be required to get up to those higher levels of ratings. And we work with clients on whether it be fit-out projects or new construction projects. But moving on, we will start with a bit of an overview of the need for indoor air quality sensors. So if Remy, you can go on to the next slide. So this slide gives a bit of an overview to some of the science behind the need for indoor air quality sensors and how it can benefit the building occupants and also operators. So number one, there's clear science to show that by lowering the percentage of building occupants who are dissatisfied with the indoor air quality by 10%, this has a notable impact on work performance, increasing productivity by roughly 1%. Similarly, improved ventilation rates have an impact on sick leave and absenteeism. So by roughly doubling the outdoor air supply rate in offices, this has been estimated to reduce sick leave by up to 10%. And similarly, by increasing that outdoor air supply rate through ventilation, it's been shown to increase office productivity by about 1.5%. And by quantifying the benefits of good indoor air quality, so for allowing us to use economic calculations to be able to show the benefit of improving the indoor air quality, it's shown that the general payback is less than 2 years for investment in those indoor air quality features. And by having access to this data and improved indoor air quality data, it will support us in meeting building certifications such as WELL, BREEAM and LEED, but it also offers building management and facilities managers opportunity to monitor that indoor air quality and make sure that any potential spikes in contaminants can be remediated. So next slide, please, Remy. As I said, my role is very certification focused, and I work across WELL, BREEAM and LEED, amongst other certification types, but WELL, BREEAM and LEED are the predominant certification types that we do work on. And I've got noted in bold there at the bottom of the table the sort of 4-area spread of live projects for each certification type that we have on currently. So WELL is the market leader for wellbeing assessments, and clients would use this as a framework to implement wellbeing into the design and operation of spaces, and also as evidence for that for the S in ESG really, and it can also support with GRESB and other reporting standards. BREEAM, which is the majority of the live projects we have at the minute. That is largely because BREEAM has come out of the UK. It's predominant holistic sustainability assessment across UK and Europe. Within the UK as well, it's a planning requirement more often than not. So any building going through planning will be required to carry out a BREEAM assessment. So the main drivers for why it is the largest assessment type that we have on. It's also used by clients who want to evidence their sustainability within the design of their projects. And LEED would be the, I suppose, competitor to BREEAM in that sense. It is also a holistic overview or assessment of sustainability, predominantly used by US clients. So that's why it's slightly less in our BREEAM and WELL assessments. And of course, clients may choose to implement WELL and BREEAM or WELL and LEED on assessments, so they get that holistic overview of sustainability along with that real focus in on well-being. But all three have their own criteria and requirements for indoor air quality sensors. So for example, WELL require air quality monitors to monitor at least 3 internal air quality parameters. Measurements would need to be taken every 10 minutes for CO2 and hourly for other pollutants like particulate matter or VOC and formaldehyde. But crucially, this data needs to be presented back to occupants within the space. So the data will be monitored and stored, but it will also need to be available for building users to access and for actual people within office spaces to be able to view, not just facilities management or building operators. And along with air quality features, there's also a requirement to monitor thermal comfort levels as well. At the bottom of the slide, we've got a bit of an overview as to how this actually impacts on scoring of assessments. So you can see how heavily weighted and the influence it will have on an assessment. But generally within a WELL assessment, this would be worth up to 3 points. So it's would always be recommended by us when getting up to those higher level of ratings. But crucially, with WELL, there's the requirement to maintain and recertify your rating post completion of a project. So every 3 years we need to recertify, and annually we'd need to provide data to the IWBI for air quality and thermal comfort levels within office spaces. So by having sensors installed, we've got that direct access to those performance features. If we didn't have the air quality sensors, we would need to arrange for a testing agent to go on site and be able to measure those air quality levels. But obviously by having the air quality monitors in place, we've got direct access and we can immediately action where there is remediation required. BREEAM is maybe a bit, sorry, I'll talk through BREEAM and LEED quickly as well, so you can get a sense of how air quality sensors are required in these assessments. But BREEAM is probably a bit more light on the air quality requirements. There is a credit available for occupied spaces having CO2 sensors, which would need to link back to mechanical ventilation. This is probably an optional credit within the BREEAM assessment, whereas for LEED, CO2 monitors would work towards prerequisite criteria, so CO2 sensors would be required to achieve any level of LEED certification more often than not, and these sensors need to have visual or audible alarms for when set points are exceeded for specific contaminants. But generally, all assessments will set a requirement for indoor air quality plans, which would generally give recommendations for how to maintain air quality through operation. And air quality monitors would always be a recommendation here. So it would always be best practice when completing these assessment types to have our indoor air quality plan and to have air quality monitors installed. Now moving on. and some considerations for design teams when working through these assessments in terms of specifications and design features for the monitors. We need to consider the actual location of the monitors, so where they're installed across office spaces or whatever the building type may be. So there'll generally be requirements for where the sensor is located so that it is accessible to all building users and that we get a sense of the air quality throughout the office space. Obviously, where we're completing, say, a well assessment and a lead assessment, there'll be criteria for where the sensor should be located for both. So we need to make sure that we're aligned across both assessment types. I've mentioned presentation of the data, so that can be through the sensor itself or through an online platform, depending on the assessment type. But this is critical so that building users do actually have that option to see what the air quality levels are like across a floor plate. And there may be requirements to connect to BMS so that if any set points are exceeded, ventilation can change supply or extract based off of that. Availability of sensors is a challenge that we've had in some markets, and recently completing a project in Turkey, actually, we had found challenges in availability of sensors that we were able to get to a project site. So it's always worth being aware of that at early stage so that we can identify the level of sensors that are available. And then finally, sensors are critical for ongoing certification and maintenance requirements. So as I said, indoor air quality monitors will be required for any maintenance and recertification of a well assessment, and they will allow for that data to be monitored through the operational phase so that facilities management or building operators can implement any remediation that may be required. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Matthew. This was super interesting. I just have a quick question, then we'll have other for sure coming from the chat. But in your experience, how do people, both the building users and the building management, interact with the sensors? How is it welcomed or not? Both the sensors and the data.
So, for example, at our Canary Wharf office, there's a sort of large board on entrance to the floor plate, which will give an overview of the air quality levels across the office area. So building users, when they come in, they can have a look at that and they can see where CO2 levels are higher in one area and maybe choose where they're going to sit for that day on the basis of that. It's maybe a case of there's a crowded area within the floor plate that which is pushing CO2 levels up, so somebody may prefer to sit elsewhere. Similarly, when working on recertification of one of our recent projects and working with our facilities management team, we were able to spot a spike in particulate matter in one of our offices, and we were at a bit of a loss as to why this maybe was, because there had been no recent additional fit-out works, which would normally be the generator for particulate matter. But from digging into the data a bit, it looks like it's a case of that sensor being close to a chalkboard or a blackboard within the office space. So we think that the chalk that's being used to write on the blackboard is contributing to the higher level of particulate matter. But generally, where we do find spikes like this, it gives us the chance to work with the facilities management team to then implement any remediation. So whether that's targeted cleaning program or in some cases a flush out of the floor space.
Okay, and is it important to educate people when sensors are installed? How do we educate the users? How can we ensure them that the air quality is good or not? Is it something that you manage, or do you ask the building owner to do that, your client?
Yeah, it's a good question, actually. And generally for projects that we do work on that recertification with, we would send out quarterly news bulletins to the office users so they get a bit of an overview of what the air quality sensors are actually there for. And then secondly, what the indoor air quality level is like so that they can understand the use for them, but also what the performance level is.
Okay. Super interesting. Thanks a lot, Matthew.
Thank you very much.
Have some question at the end of the event.
No problem.
Anne-Marie, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Remy, and thank you, Matthew, for such a great description of all of the certification systems that require indoor air quality testing. And thank you, Remy, for inviting me on. And what a pleasure to be on the same stage as Omer, one of our well-at-scale clients from Sanofi. So thank you very much. And if we can go on to the next slide. So we're really excited to be here working with Air Things to talk about the importance of indoor air quality. And I'm really proud to be part of the IWBI. We've been leading this global movement around people and health for over 10 years now. We've just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And we really do feel proud of the fact that we are really transforming the awareness of well-being in buildings. Next slide. You can see from this graph here that, with the onset of COVID coming in around 2020, there was real awareness and escalation of WELL certification around the world. And it's exciting to see that still maintaining the growth spurt that we've seen back in 2020. So we're close to 6 billion square feet across 136 countries. We're really proud of the fact that we have over 25,000 WELL APs around the world that help us deliver this mission, like Matthew was talking about. And really looking at the fact that we're close to 50% of the Fortune 500 adopting this. And I think it's very clear to see that there's an increased momentum around human health as we look at planetary health and understanding how we can be actively addressing both in the certification systems that we choose. And Matthew put it really well to say that companies are now looking at WELL and BREEAM or WELL and LEED, being able to define a dual pathway for planetary and human health. Next slide. So we're really proud too that we've actually just crossed the threshold of 1 billion square feet here in Europe. And I'm really proud to have been able to start that journey with the IWBI in 2017. And we've got projects that are focused on the at scale or the portfolio approach, like Sanofi is, where we've got over 2,000 locations enrolled in WELL at scale, over 1,500 locations for just single asset certification, and over 3,000 locations that are pursuing one of our ratings or our smaller certifications. Next slide. So I think we're at a very interesting point in the world today where we're realizing that the greatest asset in our buildings is actually the human beings that work in the buildings. So how do we prioritize that? And we look at this environmental, social, and governance approach that many of our companies are being evaluated on, and H is the sort of missing link in the social aspect of ESG. So we're working really hard to understand from leadership across these various companies how we can prioritize the investment in the people that work inside the buildings. So there's quite a bit of research that we're now starting to see after we've been reviewing buildings that have achieved WELL certification over the last 10 years. And we're starting to see that employees themselves are demanding more of a well-being strategy within their companies. And it's part of an interviewing process that considerations are being made for employee health, and really not always tying it to exact productivity outcomes. But they believe that if you really are keen to get your folks back to the office, the physical work environment has a major impact on their health and well-being. So we really are starting to see employee expectations driving the resistance or the interest in coming back to work. And we're also starting to see great ROI. So there are studies now showing that WELL certified buildings achieve a higher rent premium. They also increase in lease terms, which means that there's less void within the building, and a 10-year net present value generated by healthier buildings. So we're really starting to be able to prove the business case, which is important for those who have to really fight for the investment to be put inside healthy buildings. And I love this slide because it helps communicate back that WELL is really a roadmap, and many of our clients are in different starting points when they want to achieve healthier outcomes for their staff. Some of them are prioritizing sustainability reporting, like GRASB. Some of them are looking to secure and attain the best talent. And some of them are looking to just build brand leadership. And we feel that WELL gives them the tool to use at any of their starting points to deliver a really fabulous outcome for their teams. So I think this slide should be familiar for most people in this area of certifications. It's our 10 main concepts. And obviously today we're spending quite a bit of time talking about air. So I just wanted to remind everyone that we still focus a lot on mind, community, movement, water, light, thermal comfort, nourishment, sound, and material health. And one of the real key benefits of WELL is that it's used to drive policy change and design change. So we're really looking at how we can make sure buildings stay healthy for the lifespan of the building. So as Matthew mentioned, every 3 years we recertify buildings, but it's the one standard that allows policy recognition, design implementation, and then obviously to make sure the buildings are operated and managed in the way that they were designed. So we feel that we're able to deliver this comprehensive approach, and obviously talking about air quality, not only is it the ongoing management, but it's also providing the monitoring and awareness and being able to give more control to the occupants. And as Matthew mentioned, when you walk into the building in Canary Wharf, a WELL Platinum building, you can see exactly where the air quality is at all of those locations, and you get to choose where you want to work. And also you'll be able to identify where a change might need to happen. If a building or a space has been heavily occupied by too many people, you can allow that space to air out before people occupy it again. So there's a really great awareness factor here. Mentioned briefly about social sustainability, the focus that we all have now on our employees, our supply chain, customers, and local communities. So just reiterating the fact that health is part of the social side of ESG. We mentioned this briefly that, looking to align with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, GRASB, ESRS, GRI, IRIS, and S&P. These are all regulatory bodies that are either voluntary or non-voluntary, and they are looking for us to prove what it is we're doing for the well-being of our staff and supply chain. So this just helps you with your ESG frameworks. Just a quick promotion of how we want to make sure that we don't choose one over the other, that it's people and planet, and we need to look at this coordinated approach for overall health. Just a quick snapshot here of how these ESG performance reports are able to call out the WELL commitments. I know I'm running low on time, so Remy, if you need to fast forward, I know we have. And the last slide really is about joining us on the WELL forum, where you can find out more information about WELL and the products that we're looking at.
Many thanks, Anne-Marie. Thanks for being here, and we are pleased to have you there. So one very quick question linked to at the end to the one I asked to Matthew as well, about educating people, etc. Do you see like a high number of projects achieving the air quality monitoring part, A08, to monitor issues and as well inform and educate individuals about the indoor air quality environment?
I definitely, we constantly see clients achieving A08, mostly because, similar to JLL, they want to be able to prove that all the hard work that they did to attain good indoor air quality is broadcast through the staff and through visitors inside buildings. I think it is similar to the WELL plaque. It gives people the credibility that's actually been achieved by this client and design team. But I think there is more information to be done just to educate occupants on these incredible sensors and what they're doing, because a lot of time people don't realize how much information is actually sitting behind the sensors. So I think it's great to have the awareness when folks walk into the buildings, but I think there could be a lot more education done just to help people understand the magnitude of poor air quality and also the impact it can have on human health. So really being able to drive home the benefits that they're having by working in environments that are really healthy and being measured on a minute by minute basis.
Yeah, get it. Many thanks, Anne-Marie.
No
And
worries.
let's
Thank you.
catch up for the Q&A part. Omer, we are pleased to welcome you on stage.
Hello, everyone. And first of all, thank you, Remy. Thank you, Earthing team, for giving me this opportunity to share with you Sanofi's real estate and workplace vision when it comes to our sustainable workplace. With today a key focus on our most valuable asset, our people. So for those not familiar, Sanofi is a global healthcare company, and we are driven by a clear purpose to chase the miracles of science to improve people's lives. And naturally, when you hear that, you can imagine that the commitment starts first with our own employees. Next slide, please. We have always recognized that our company's success is deeply linked with our well-being of our people. Beyond traditional workplace considerations such as digital experience, health and safety, environmental sustainability, accessibility, you can see here that employee health is also a core element of our workplace strategy defined in our WorkX 3.0. And it is fully embedded in our sustainable building charter. Next slide, please. This charter serves as the foundation of our sustainable workplace strategy. When we think about sustainability, energy efficiency, carbon reduction often come to mind, and these are crucial, of course. But at Sanofi, we took a broader approach 10 years ago when we defined this charter. For us, sustainability is also about supporting people and communities. Because let's be honest, if employees feel disconnected, struggling with their health, no number of green certification will make a company truly sustainable. Next slide. No, the one before. Yeah, this one. Yeah. Okay. So here it's our approach regarding people pillar. So you can see that we have three main objectives. It's improving health, comfort, mental well-being. This includes considerations such as acoustics, electromagnetic waves, biophilia, active design, air quality. And speaking of air quality, so I'm happy to highlight our collaboration with Remy, with Airthings. We are equipping many of our sites with sensors to monitor real-time the air parameters, enabling first our team to implement corrective actions if we observe an issue. This enables also to comply with certification like WELL. So it's a double benefits for us. Next slide. So how do we put this charter into action? So basically, this slide summarizes our green and healthy building strategy. You can see it's divided in two parts. First part is for new projects, basically when we move to a new building or for major renovation projects. Second part is for existing sites. So for new projects, our sustainable building charter is mandatory, so it's applicable, and all the projects must follow the guidelines defined in this charter. We also use a checklist with a scoring system to evaluate buildings, comparing our current building versus the shortlisted options. And it is based on the Sanofi's criteria in terms of location, in terms of sustainability, in terms of health, safety, environment, but also in terms of services we'll offer. So we have some criteria that are mandatory, so it's like preconditions, and others that are adjustable according to projects' needs. In addition, as you can see, we prioritize buildings with sustainable certifications such as LEED, BREEAM, but also WELL. When it comes to WELL, we, as said by Anne-Marie, we started our journey last year on WELL at scale. So trying to have an harmonized way, not having a single site approach, but having more a global approach to manage this kind of certification. And for us, this is also like a guarantee that the buildings we are considering meet rigorous standards. For existing sites, the approach is a bit different. We have defined a global sustainability roadmap with some key priorities in line with Sanofi's Planet Care ambitions, but also our Sustainable Building Charter. Because in the charter, we have, let's say, more than 30 different items. For existing sites, we decided to prioritize some of them. And where feasible, we also explore green certifications for our operations. We are also expanding my green lab across all our R&D labs. This is a way to reinforce our commitment to sustainable laboratory environments. This strategy ensures that sustainability at Sanofi is not just about building, it's about people inside. And if I had to conclude, as I said, sustainability is not only building, it's not only about energy, CO2, it's first about our people. And through this charter, we have an objective to create workplaces that support both the environment, the employee well-being, but also our communities. Because true sustainability means helping both our planet and our people, like mentioned by Anne-Marie. Thank you.
Thank you, Omer, and thank you for mentioning the project we've started together on several of your sites. And the very interesting part in your presentation is the fact that you talked a lot about human, about people, and that's something inspiring for a lot of companies. And I have a small question about it. Do you think that other organizations will be willing to invest more into sustainable workplaces and well-being at work in the coming years, or will we see like the cost barriers that will remain a challenge? I know that for Sanofi, you set up a nice strategy about it. Do you think that you will be seen as an example, or do you see like your peers already doing this kind of stuff?
Thanks for the question, Remy. I think yes, organization will increasingly invest in sustainable workplace and well-being of their employees because they understand that is important for their employee first, but also for their reputation. And additionally, regulation will push the companies to change. So instead of waiting regulation to come, it's better to be more proactive and have this ambition part of their business strategy.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Let's come back to you for the Q&A session. The next part is a very, very quick part since we are running out of time, focused on air things. So I guess all of you already know who we are. So we are the global leader into indoor air quality monitoring technology. Our turnkey solution provides AAQ insights to help understand and optimize your workplace. We have today over 1 million businesses devices installed and part of that, we have 30,000 classrooms. Oops, sorry. We have the luck to meet and to fit with all the requirements of a lot of building certificates. So we talked already a lot about them, but we have some successful projects covering Smart Score, Reset, Well, BREEAM, and etc. So we are very proud of that. We will have some example to share. Sanofi is one of them, but you will get it into this presentation. But we have the luck to provide, once again, a turnkey solution that provides continuous monitoring. And that's the key today when we are talking about building certification and when we want to ensure an healthy workplace, like samples monitor, samples, it doesn't, like audit and this kind of stuff is not enough in a building. You need to monitor in a continuous way if you want to get reliable data. I'm not on the right page. So that's part of the example that we can share. We do have some projects with Allianz in Spain to achieve the LEED certification and Smart Score certification. We do have others very recently in Hong Kong for a Reset project. In the UK, very recently we achieved a WELL Platinum standard with Joe Cox. We had the luck to work in France with Ledger, a fintech company who reach a lot of buildings labels as well. And what we can see today from those presentations is that companies are more and more focusing on people and on well-being. And that's a strong signal of leadership now. It allows to keep and attract talents. The topic of building certifications requires now the continuous air quality monitoring. So you need, once again, reliable data to achieve those certifications. A healthy building is not good only for people now, but it also makes a financial sense. You can get an ROI by installing this kind of IoT. And leading companies are really now including AAQ into their smart building strategies. So that's the key messages that we've heard today and that we had the luck to hear. Any question here? I see that we had some question in the chat, for example, about how the data could be displayed in a building. Like, do you have any answer to provide here? Maybe Omer, is the indoor air quality data shared with the occupants? Or maybe Mathieu or Anne-Marie, you can share again like an example about how to share this if it's shared in any building. Don't fight, please.
I mean, I think we probably need to go to either Matthew or Omer in terms of their buildings, but we've seen it similar to what JLL does, which is a large dashboard upon entering a space. But I'm sure there are much more like mobile apps where folks actually have the opportunity to track on their phone as well.
Yeah, I can I'll speak for JLL anyway, and typically on the air quality monitors themselves, there might be a sort of traffic light on the monitor which shows whether we're at good quality, moderate or bad. Or else alternatively we may have sort of QR signs up or QR codes up across the office space. We don't typically do it on our own office fit outs, but it might be client preference where building users can scan the code and take them directly to a website which stores the data. And similarly, I said that we share the quarterly news bulletins for our own office staff who are then able to follow a link through the bulletin which will bring them to the platform and they can have full overview of the air quality data. Okay, interesting.
I can also comment on this. I think it's important to communicate the results to the employees because they have also a role to play to improve their air quality. So, for example, of course, if the building is smart enough, we see CO2 level is increasing, we can adapt with the BMS system, etc. That's the first thing. But if not, we can also share with the employees the current air quality in the office. And if the outside air quality is better, they can open the windows and they can improve the indoor air quality as well. So that's
Definitely.
two ways to see that.
Okay. And one question, maybe more for you, Anne-Marie and Matthew. Are you more and more working with kind of global corporate company like Sanofi, having a clear global strategy, or as well with maybe smaller companies, only local? What's the main type of client?
I think we have quite a nice mix. We do have a few clients who are at large corporate global clients where WELL is part of their overall sustainability strategy, and they use it for as a well-being design framework and guide for operation. But similarly, we do have some smaller scale developers who want to implement WELL. And it may be that they're maybe required to do BREEAM as part of planning, and we maybe propose a well assessment to them if we see that they do have an interest in well-being. And we do see quite good uptake from those smaller clients as well, which is encouraging to see.
Okay. Anne-Marie, any comment on this to validate?
Yeah, I just saw the second question in the chat. I was just thinking maybe I would take that one. If a project actually fails its sensor data during recertification, and that does happen, especially if folks might be in a building where there's ongoing construction work. So we do give opportunities for a building to try and flush out what the particulate matter or high level that's being recorded on the sensor. So there is always an opportunity for remedial outcomes so that we can ensure that the air quality meets the space that the certification levels that we're looking for.
All right, thanks. And if you have any question, do not hesitate to contact us or to contact directly one of the speakers, because we are reaching the end of this webinar. So I really want to thank you all for being there. That was a super interesting conversation. I hope that everyone behind their screens share the same sentiment, the same feeling as me. Let's keep in touch and do not hesitate to contact us once again if needed. We will register your questions and come back to you with the relevant answers as soon as possible. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.